All right. Welcome back to the Veganless podcast. This is episode 4, and I'm here with Nick from Trophyline. How's it going, Nick? I'll
It's
let
going
you
pretty
give
good.
a little intro.
Oh, thanks. It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to talk some hunting.
Absolutely. Love it. It's what we love best around here.
Oh yeah. So from what I understand, you were telling me earlier you've been into saddle hunting for a little while now, and you got some of our stuff. So I've been with Trophyline now for 4 years, and
Mhm.
I kind of just wanted to start really just be like, hey, what do you got from us? What do you like? And then we can get into all the other fun tactics and tips and
Yeah.
tricks and stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I have the Covert Light saddle, and I picked up saddle hunting last year. I made the switch, and it's lovely. Absolutely love that you can basically go pick any tree in the woods and set up instead of having to shop for the perfect tree, which, as anyone that hunts knows, there isn't. So, picked that up last year, started saddle hunting, and just the versatility of it is fantastic. The saddle, isn't bulky, does the job well. I've seen, as I'm getting into it, a lot of people complaining about hip pinch and all that.
Hmm.
And I personally haven't ran into any hip pinch in my saddle. So love that. Then the other kind of the star thing for me here is I have the Palisade bag
Oh,
and absolutely love that bag. It's my favorite bag. I picked it up last spring, I believe it was. And I had a minor issue with mine where the water bottle pouch I think was sewed too tight and it kind of ripped. And then I put in a support ticket, and then no questions asked. Like, all right, we'll get you a new one, and it was ridiculously easy for me. So,
that's been a big stickler for us as customer service. But
hmm
yeah, really the reason I asked is, you and I had been chatting for a while leading up to the podcast and
hmm
going, really for me, it was just trying to see, you know, when you came into this type of hunting, and that'll help us go throughout the rest of the conversation. We'll just see,
hmm
because I've been doing it for almost a decade now. So it's really cool to
hmm
kind of compare, 1 year versus, almost
yeah,
10 years, and
right.
the cool different stories we can come from off of
hmm
that. And that's what I thought was really fun, and that's why I was excited to be on this, because I know you were fresh
hmm
to it, and you have just you kind of just have your foot in the water a little bit in the
hmm
craziness that can be some of this style of mobile hunting. So I was just
right.
curious. So I appreciate that. Thanks for giving me that rundown real quick.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, like I said, I picked it up last year, dove into saddle hunting, and really loved it. I urban hunt as well as your normal seasons, so it's been absolutely amazing for urban season. I can kind of roll into the urban spot and kind of pick an area based off of signs and set up and kind of readjust as needed because urban you run into all kinds of different factors that you typically don't run into elsewhere, like homeless individuals coming through your spot or
Mhm.
people walking animals, etc. So being able to be mobile and versatile is huge.
I've I grew up in a pretty rural area, but right now I'm living in, I would call the suburbs, but I do a lot of
Mhm,
urban hunting as well, suburban urban hunting. And I tell you what, saddle hunting and the shift to that has made that so much easier, because a lot of times I'll get permission on really small plots, and I'm talking
mhm,
1 acre, 2 acres, 4 acres at the most,
mhm,
and that landowner might be okay with me hunting it, but their
mhm.
neighbor isn't.
Yeah.
So it's really easy for me to get away with it, because I can put all of my stuff into that Palisade pack or whatever pack I
Mhm,
might be using. And then if the neighbor's really funky about it, I could just throw a rain fly over it. And
mhm.
then it just looks like I'm a guy walking in the woods with a backpack on.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to get away with that instead of dragging in a climber or a mobile
Mhm,
lock on system. Nothing wrong with those systems. It's a little more obvious for what you're doing. So for
mhm,
urban suburban hunting, it's, to me, it can't be beat, because like you said, if you got to get down and get out of there quickly
mhm.
for whatever weird reason that might come up, then
Right.
that's probably one of the best ways you could do it.
Mhm.
You definitely get into some interesting situations though, because it's a lot less obvious you're up there.
Mhm.
I mean, the amount of conversations I've overheard or arguments of people
Mhm.
walking it out on the
Yeah.
phone, it's been pretty
Yeah.
entertaining. So
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, saddle hunting as well is great because you're not leaving stands sitting out to get
mhm.
stolen or, vandalized or so being
Yeah.
able to pack in and pack out at the same time is just phenomenal.
And the one thing too that I guess people don't really touch on this too much, but the not only is it safer for your gear, but your gear lasts so much longer. So, you put a tree stand in the beginning of the season, and
Hmm.
yeah, maybe you are diligent and you take it down in February, right after the season is
Hmm.
over. It was still out there for half a year
Yep.
almost, getting UV
Sun
exposure, weather
fade. Yeah.
exposure, exactly all of that stuff, which deteriorates your equipment so much faster.
Hmm.
So being able to take it in and out every day is
Hmm.
making the investment that you put in to start last
Hmm.
so much longer. And that's not really talked about that much. It's, we always talk about the mobility, the versatility.
Hmm.
But, let's be honest, the economy we're in right now isn't letting everybody just have money
Hmm.
and spend it the way they want. But it's a really good investment. One, like you said, you have to spend less. You don't have to put 10 tree stands out. You could have one
Right.
system. And two, it
Yep.
just lasts longer. And that's something for me that I've always felt was really important, because I don't like just throwing money away at things. I like
Hmm.
just leaving a tree. And like you said, you're hoping it's there when you come back.
Hmm.
And that always stressed me out. And I love that I don't have to have that stress anymore.
Right. Yeah, I think often with saddle hunting, there's sticker shock because, there is that initial investment and it looks like a lot until you actually break down that, okay, how many stands does this replace that I'd be buying? Or, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
To me, it was also, it wasn't just it wasn't just the stand replacement. Like you
mhm,
said right at the start of the podcast here, it was the versatility of trees. Like, you're not
mhm,
shopping for a tree. You find the sign and you just hunt the tree that has the
mhm,
right wind. And to me, the thing that was getting frustrating was I just couldn't feel 100% confident I grabbed the right gear before I went into a
mhm,
spot. But once I got into saddle hunting and once I got the gear dial that I liked, um, I was able to just go anywhere. Like, you could give me
mhm,
permission and say, "Hey Nick, come on down, let's go hunting." Just throw me at a piece of property, and I'll
mhm.
figure out a way to hunt it. And I won't have to be worried. Did I bring the right tree stand? Did I bring the right this or that? I just show
Right.
up, and hopefully I leave there dragging a deer. And that's just been really great for me, especially same situation with out of state hunting. Because then you're
Mhm.
not taking all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff in the back of your truck. You got more space for
Right.
cooler, more space for the rest of your gear, and then you just don't have to figure out, how can I put this in here? How
Right.
what you don't have to do any pre-scouting to see what
Mhm,
trees are there to if
mhm.
it fits your
If
climate
it's
or this or that.
perfectly straight or if there's a branch in
Yeah,
the way or, you
exactly.
know,
All that stuff is
any
just
slight inconvenience.
mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Because I have bad
Absolutely
luck.
love it.
So if it's going to go wrong, it can for me. So I'd rather just get rid of it and
Mhm.
just eliminate the potential of it right away.
If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have luck at all. So I feel that.
I guess I should start using that line too. I think.
Right. It's a good one. Unfortunately, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess fun little story of my Palisade pack.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of screwed up, right? So I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I self film. I have
Mhm.
this YouTube channel. I film all my hunts and go out, and I had my camera gear in the bag. And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I'm up in the tree, 15, 20 feet, whatever it was. And the bag slips and falls with my camera gear in it.
Oh,
It was all perfectly fine
oh, that's great.
inside the bag. So I'm like, love this bag even more now.
Well, we actually made that pack with the self filmer in mind, and
Hmm.
just the way that it holds its shape. The
Yep.
idea was that you could protect your gear, your camera gear from
Hmm.
your other gear,
Right.
your sticks, your platforms,
Your
whatever it is,
platform.
your water bottle, any of that stuff. The
Hmm.
idea was to protect the camera gear from that. I'm definitely happy to hear that the bag helped protect a fall. I don't know how high you were, but I'm happy that it helped protect that
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
like 15 to 20 feet, and I
Oh,
have like a camcorder set up, and
I can't
yeah.
imagine how long that took in your mind for that to actually hit the ground, like just so
Yep.
low.
Yep. I'm just like, well, here we go.
I'm happy to hear that that nothing happened. But yeah, that entire pack, the reason we designed it
Mhm.
was for the camera gear.
Yeah, that's why I picked it up because I did my research and I'm like, this EVA foam. I'm like, this is, I think, a good idea versus like it's lighter than a frame pack
Mhm.
and has the padding that the frame pack doesn't have. So I completely chose it because I film. Like that was the exclusive reason why I went with that one.
Yeah, and I don't film too much, but I often take that pack in the late season anyhow. My personal favorite pack from us is our plateau. I just love that the way that that
Hmm.
system works for me. But uh, I do take that in late season because I can throw all
Hmm.
my layers in there because I get super sweaty if I have to wear anything in. If
Hmm.
I'm wearing bibs or something, I am just sweating up like crazy. So
Yeah.
I'll pack my hoodie, my jacket. Like I'm walking in there in a merino wool like t-shirt
Base
or
layers,
cutoff.
basically.
That's
Yeah.
it. And the bibs on. I don't care how cold it is because I will just get the sweatiest man ever. So I'll pack that all in that Palisade, and it works really well
Hmm.
for me because it's not too big, but it fits all the stuff. And then if I do have my camera in there, which I have a pretty small, basic
Hmm.
um, a camera for myself filming. I'm lucky
Hmm.
enough to have a couple guys that work with us that do film hunts, so they have the hard work of trying to make me look good
Right.
while I'm hunting. But if I'm doing the self filming, it doesn't take up much space in there. But
Hmm.
that's been a pretty popular pack for us, and
Hmm.
we haven't had much issues with customer service coming in any questions. But
Hmm.
I'm happy to hear again, like you said, that we handled yours pretty quickly. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty quickly. And yeah, like I said, self film. So I like that pack. I am starting to kind of explore more out of state hunts. So I'm probably going to look into a bigger pack from you guys, but love this one right now. But starting to build points for an elk hunt out of state. So
Oh, that's incredible.
definitely need some more room for that one.
Yeah, no, frame pack's going to be pretty much what you're looking for there.
Right.
It just
Right.
depends on how far you're going from the truck. All kinds of different
Hmm.
factors play into that. But yeah, you pretty much you're getting a much bigger pack than a power.
Yeah. It's a different ball game than whitetail hunting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep. So I like helping new hunters and people that maybe don't have relatives that hunt, so they might have an interest or they're just misinformed and open to hearing.
Mhm.
Do you have some advice for new hunters that you would like to give out?
Advice for new hunters: take your time in pretty much everything you're doing, whether that is walking, whether that is climbing a tree, whether that is shooting your bow, gun, whatever it is. Take your time. It is not a race. The only person you're competing against is yourself. You're not competing against me. You're not competing against Dan here. You're not competing against anybody. It's just you. So, and I mean that in your mental state and your physical state. So, it doesn't matter what the deer is, how big it is when you're going out there. It doesn't matter how many hunts it takes for you to do it. Just take your time. That's step one for me. Is always take your time
Hmm.
because going fast doesn't help anybody. Um, and number two is just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be embarrassed to ask questions because everybody was new to hunting at some point in time.
Hmm.
I had the good fortune that my dad is a very avid hunter, but not that
Hmm.
many people are. And I have quite a lot of my friends that started hunting later, either in high
Hmm.
school, college, or after college, this and that. And that's very popular now. People are wanting to get their food from a healthier way.
Yeah,
That
know where it's coming from.
exactly, and it's not. It's always feels like it's a bigger burden to
Hmm.
learn hunting than it actually is. But I think people just there's so much information coming in. There's a ton of podcasts that talk
Hmm.
about really in-depth tactics, which I really like this question you had here, is because you're talking about if you're a new hunter, what is the one
Hmm.
thing? Just take your time. So
Yeah.
grab a couple books on whitetail hunting and read them.
Hmm.
Listen to all the podcasts you can and just soak up, become a sponge for that information. And then when you go to use it, take your time. That is my main thing. It's for
Hmm.
everything is take your time.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think that really applies to every stage of hunting for that matter.
Mhm.
Like you get out in the field and you hear a grunt or see something and you get too eager to push, you can throw all of your chances out the window. Like you have to learn right time, right place, and as mentioned, internet is a huge resource. There is good and bad. So try to
Absolutely.
do your due diligence, find good mentors, people you can generally talk with. Don't get ran off by the inevitable Facebook trolls and the hunting groups.
Yeah, there's a lot of forums too that you can choose that where it's
Hmm.
more anonymous, and if you're more
Hmm.
comfortable asking the questions in that anonymous form, then do that. Because Facebook can be intimidating. Listen, we're a part of all these groups, and there's a lot going on, and people have
Hmm.
very very strong opinions, and that's okay.
Hmm.
But when you're starting to hunt, and it's just hard to take it all in. It's just so much.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a great point. Like, make sure you're kind of taking the time to dig through what is good or bad information. That might be a little
Hmm.
difficult getting started, but
Yeah, not knowing.
you can kind of tell, behind the attitude of the person.
Hmm.
Um, in general, someone who wants to give you good information is going to give you as much as they can,
Hmm.
and as polite manner as they can. If they're doing it a little bit rude and a little bit short, then it kind of tells what it is.
Right. Right. So you said you've been hunting for a long time now. Do you have any memorable hunts that come to mind?
Oh, I got quite a few, but I'll tell you what. I think one that's going to stick with me for a while. I just had last year, so I'm getting my son into hunting. He's 5,
Hmm.
and um, this year he asked me, "Hey, Dad, can I come to deer camp?" So I'm from
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
best
Deer
feeling.
camp is the thing, and he came last year, but he hung out, back at the house with my mom.
Hmm.
And this year he was all in. He wanted to be a part of it. He got up at 5 a.m. and was like, "Let's go, let's get dressed." He's got all his gear on, and I think what made it more memorable this year for me is that my dad's had some health issues for a few years that he wasn't
Hmm.
able to get into the woods, and it's been eating him alive. He was so into it, but he just couldn't. And this past season, he was able to join us on opening day. So it was my son, my closest
Awesome.
cousin, my dad, and myself, and it was just an awesome day. We only brought home one doe, but my son actually tracked her. He had,
Oh, awesome.
all the lamps on, and really pretty much without any instruction, I got to watch him follow the blood and track her.
Hmm.
He held the light and asked me questions while we field dressed her, asked me questions while we skinned her and processed her. And it wasn't the most thrills and exciting hunt. It was a very cold
Hmm.
day. We had to go back to the barn a lot and keep him warm, but
Hmm.
it was just something I don't think I'll forget because it was that first time where I could really see it
Yeah.
for him. Like, he was in it.
Hmm.
And I expect for us to have really memorable hunts to continue, and to have
Right.
exciting things to build upon. But I'll be honest, for me as a dad, trying to get my son interested into something, that's definitely the one sticking with me right now. That's the one I want to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that because I took my son hunting for the first time last year too. He's been back and forth teetering on if he had interest and not. So I'm like, all right, buddy, you don't have to do it. Do you want to just come hang out with me? So set up in a blind and, was able to harvest a doe. And yeah, it was just awesome getting him out in the woods.
It's a different feeling, I think, than
Yeah.
because this year he didn't pull a trigger. It was still
Hmm.
myself doing it, but because he told me he wanted to wait a little bit longer to do that,
Hmm.
he wanted to be a part of it all. And it just was an awesome feeling, and getting them into hunting. It doesn't need to be a big thing. I guess this is a good point back to your new hunters. I wasn't when I'm looking to get him into hunting. I'm sorry, I was looking off to the side, looking at a picture of him and I on that day, actually. But um, it doesn't need to be big frills to, like, get people excited about hunting. Even if you're looking to get your friends into hunting, your friend is kind of interested. The buck that I shot this year was a buck that my son and my daughter both liked on trail
Hmm.
cameras. They said, "Dad, we like this buck. If you see him, can you shoot him?" And he was typically a lot smaller than I've been trying to achieve at this
Hmm.
stage of my hunting. He's actually right up over my shoulder here, right here.
Oh, nice.
Not not a big monster, but
Hmm.
a good deer, a fun deer, and I was able to get him on opening day, and those two were so excited. And that's just that's to me, that's what's hunting about. Is just having everybody around you be
Hmm.
excited. And heck, we've been eating him for dinner ever since.
Right.
So, um, back to the new hunter thing. It's just like, it doesn't matter the size of the animal. It doesn't matter what stage you think you might be in or
Hmm.
what you have to prove. It's just go out and have fun. And to me, that was the most fun I could have had was, those two hunts and having them be excited and happy.
Yeah, I drive it down every episode. Harvest what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
Don't give two shits about the Facebook groups, online, social media. I'm so sick and tired of watching you guys post a picture of a deer with the first sentence being, I know it's not the biggest butt.
Hmm.
Quit. Stop. No more.
They all taste the same in tacos, I'll tell you that.
That's right. That's right. Gotta have the chili too.
This is my wife makes a killer venison chili, and yeah, they all taste the same in that. So it doesn't matter
Oh
the
yeah.
size. And of course, obviously, there's new goals, and you can push yourself and want to
Hmm.
achieve different things. Maybe use a different weapon and this and that, whatever. And that's
Hmm.
fine. But just make sure you're having fun. If whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is making it that you're not having fun doing it,
You're doing it for the
then
wrong reasons.
you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Exactly. So as long as you're having
Yep.
fun, great. And maybe fun to you is struggling. Maybe fun to you is holding your buck tag for a couple years because you really really want that. That's
The
fine.
one. Hmm.
But don't do it for me or
Yeah,
someone
don't
else. Do
judge
it.
other people. Like, if
Yeah,
they're being ethical and legal, I'll have those two
that's
stipulations. Like,
that's
screw
exactly
poachers, screw people that are just shooting bad shots just because, like, not talking about them.
yep,
People out there having fun, doing their best. Like, absolutely. Hell yeah, go them.
absolutely. I agree completely.
Yep. Any other hunts that come to mind? Maybe of like yours?
Oh, I've told this one briefly before, not the whole thing, but it was a hunt where I didn't think I had a chance.
Hmm.
So I was getting a ton of activity that I had seen in hunts or on my trail cameras at a local spot here. Actually, it was a
Hmm.
suburban spot, and I was just never able to get into the woods at that time. It was a rut. It was early November. I didn't think I was actually going to get in the woods that day. I was actually working here. Me and Sean had a big project we were working on, and
Hmm.
he says, "Man." I texted him. I said, "Oh man, I've had a ton of deer movement today, but I got to take the kids to school. I got to do this and that, whatever." He's like, "Just give it a shot. Give it a shot." I'm like, "I don't know if I can," but it's something that I was like, you know what, I can pull this off. I can do it. So I dropped the kids off. I didn't get in the woods until 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's just something that people think like you can't
Yeah,
do that.
most people would be like, "Oh, I'm not going then." Like,
It was something I was like, you know what, I'm not going to hold myself back on this anymore. I know they're moving in there. I'm going to give it a shot. I got 150 yards into the woods, and the buck I wanted to shoot that year steps in front of me. Like, just it could have been more perfect. He was 20 yards. The sun is on him, but on me as well. I couldn't move.
hmm.
So I,
Hmm.
I was in shock for one, and two, he's just standing right there staring at me. He is. It was the perfect morning too, so it was sunny but cold, so you could see all the steam coming out of his
Oh
nose.
yeah, yeah, that'd be
Awesome,
cool.
awesome look. But I knew I was pinned. Like I couldn't do anything,
Hmm.
but I had to try. So I went to try to draw my bow, and he spooked. Saw me spooked. He took off
Hmm.
into the brush. I was like, I got to do something. Like I can't have my morning be over, 15
Hmm.
minutes into this walk, right? So I knelt down and I actually just took another stick and just started beating the living crap out of the ground below
Oh
me,
yeah.
just seeing what I could do. Well, I got his interest to come back, but not only did I
Hmm.
get his interest, there was a forky that I didn't know about that came right behind me, and I'm talking like
Hmm.
10 feet behind me before he blew and ruined that whole situation again. So I was like, man, I don't really know what to do here. Like I had two great opportunities, at least in my opinion, of having the buck I wanted getting close to me. I just couldn't pull it off. Like,
Hmm.
let's take the time, let's regroup and figure it out. So I went down into a valley between two bedding areas. And I mind you, this isn't a very big property, but it's steep terrain, like it's old strip mining terrain. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go down into this middle and just listen to what's going on and then see if I can move over there. Well, I get up into that tree. I'm there for 10 minutes and throw a random call out, which I almost never do in Pennsylvania. But I was like, you know what?
Hmm.
Screw it. Let's do it. And I see this doe way off in the distance, hear the call, and just turn and come right at me. So I'm thinking
Hmm.
maybe I interested her. No, she was being chased by another buck. And the only thing I can assume is that she wanted him off of her. So
Yeah.
she brought him right to
Throwing
me.
her to you. Yeah.
He and all I remember is I put my binos up, and I looked at him for maybe half a second. Went, "Yep," and just put him back in my. I'm like, "Yep, I'm good." he, she brought him in and I did a couple really soft calls, and I don't know who makes it, but I have this little tiny grunt call. It's like 2 inches. I think
Hmm.
it's like the buck snort, or so, I have no idea who makes the call, but I've had it for years, and it's very very quiet grunt, and I did that a couple times, and she came straight into me, and he was 20 yards, quartering away, pegged him. He went 40 yards and fell in my sight, the whole thing,
Hmm.
and I just couldn't believe it. So it, it ended up being my biggest Pennsylvania buck, and called all my buddies and freaking out. I called my dad, sending the pictures, like, I can't believe this actually just happened. I was in the woods for an hour and 12 minutes,
Yeah, that's wild.
and I shot the biggest buck of my life in
And
Pennsylvania.
you had multiple encounters that you.
Multiple encounters. So to me, it's just like, not only is that a really fun hunt for me because of what I was able to achieve, but like it reminded me like anything can happen. Like being out there is what needs to be. Like you need to actually get in the woods. If it feels right, just make it happen. Just
Hmm.
because it's not 6:30 in the morning or the right time of day or right wind or not
Hmm.
everything's perfect. Just go out and see if you can make it happen. And I'll be honest, I tried some things that I didn't think would work, but I was like,
Right.
it'd be cool if it did, and
Right. Panned
it
out.
worked. So and that was just the fun part of it. Like I was just like, what, let's just give it a shot. Like I know I can make something happen, and here you are.
Hmm.
So um, yeah, I guess the fun part of that for me was it's just the shock of it. And I'm just thinking about it now. I'm just making me smile just because it's just like I couldn't believe that I was able to pull it off in that pace. We just never know what's going to happen
Goes
in
to
the
show
course
that
of
it
it.
isn't over until it's over.
Exactly. You could just do whatever. So I mean, really, the whole point for me is like just get out there and have fun. And that
Yep.
was one of those days I was able to do it. So that's probably one of my favorite hunts. And I've got out of state hunts, and I've got hunts with a lot of
Hmm.
friends and family that I also hold in really really high regard. I've got a lot of
Hmm.
hunts that aren't even involved with whitetail whatsoever that are really fun. But that one there, just being able to remind myself when I think of it that you're capable of doing things that maybe aren't normal as long as you just
Right.
go at it, um, is that's a lot of fun. So I love that one.
There we go. We do have a question. James says, how do you guys feel about your kids growing up and possibly not having a lot of land to hunt with people buying and leasing land for deer hunting, but not being able to hunt anything else? I'm a big pheasant hunter, but land I used to hunt years ago, I can't because of leasing.
Oh man, um, I think that's a problem pretty much everywhere, and unfortunately, I think the only solution to it is either get a group of friends that might also be able to go in on a lease. Like, and again, it's not the best solution, but that may be one that you could then start a camp or a friend group that uses that property, or
Hmm.
you're going to have to find some public land when they do releases, which I've been on some whitetail hunts during pheasant days, and that has not gone well. It's been
Right.
pretty chaotic, but um, it's just you kind of have to think of things outside the box. Like, unfortunately, I can't even think of whitetail hunting like I used to 20 years ago. Yeah, I've learned a lot from it then, but it's just different. Everything's different. Land's different. All of it is. So, unfortunately, you kind of just have to let yourself think way differently. So keep asking permission, maybe take the kids along and ask for permission. I know there might be land that does leasing, but you could even see if it's okay if you could talk to the leasees and see if they're okay with you pheasant hunting on certain days or
Hmm.
certain periods of the year when they may not be out there whitetail hunting, especially if it's on certain pieces of the property. If they got stuff set up in bedding areas or food plots or whatever, and you're going to be pushing different thickets to get those birds out, and they might find that beneficial for their whitetail hunt. It might work out. So, like I said, just think outside the box and just try. It can't hurt to ask, really.
Yeah, I think being in Iowa, everything's getting leased up. So I know you're from here too, and honestly, like there's not really like much we can do about it. Like it's kind of something we just have to kind of deal with and roll with the
Mhm.
punches. Like really doubling down on public land, which in Iowa, especially during shotgun season, gets super pressured.
Mhm.
Um, but it's kind of the name of the game now. I think hunting in modern times is kind of about adapting, and that really goes everything from the hunt to just the general basis of it. We live in a world that's has a lot of people against us,
Mhm.
and then we have a lot of ag land here. We have a bunch of outfitters because Iowa's the place to be now for whitetail. So I think just trying to work on permission land. There's a lot of farmers out there that will let you hunt if you go, ask them face to face for permission.
Absolutely.
And I think one thing a lot of people do is they may ask for permission, they may do that part, but they kind of leave it at that. You can offer to be like, hey, like, do you have anything you need help with around the farm? And exchange for hunting, like offer something that's mutually beneficial, not that just them, because we're in kind of an age where unfortunately a lot of people are sue happy. So I think the first thought is, oh, what if someone falls on my property? Like,
Mhm.
I think you need to build a relationship with them and certainly take the kids and say, hey, I have youth that I want to pass on my traditions with. And
Yeah,
um,
like you said, you think outside the box. Ask, don't just ask, but ask how you can help. Say, hey, if you let me hunt this section of your property, I'll maintain the trails, or I'll
mhm.
keep this thing clear. So if you need to get your tractor through here, you don't have to worry about whether or not
Yeah.
there's a tree down, or whatever it is. Really,
Do you want me to
um,
come help fence?
exactly. Any of that stuff. At the end of the year, bringing them some jerky you made, or like a
Hmm.
gift, is super helpful. Also, don't ask right before the season. Ask like now. Ask in spring.
Yeah, put in the work
Um,
now.
put in the work now. Go in there and be like, hey, I want to hunt this come fall. What can me and my kids do to help you? Or just being the first guy or gal there to ask is big. Like, if you get to, I don't know, July, August, when everybody starts to think about whitetail hunting again, everybody's asking. We
Yeah.
we see it. It's actually pretty phenomenal. It's almost like a switch turns on the 4th of July, more like the 5th of July. So
Mhm.
after the 4th of July, people think, okay, fireworks are done, hot dogs are done. Let's kill some deer. It's like a switch turns on, and we get way more calls immediately after that. Way more
Orders.
PMs and orders and
Mhm.
emails and all kinds of things, and it's that kind of date. So if you think about that, if that's when you're starting to think about it, that's when everyone's asking all these landowners for
Mhm.
permission. So they're going to get irritated really fast. So I think just trying to, like I said, thinking outside the box and trying to think of different ways you could help them out is it's really kind of the only thing we can do. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, unfortunately.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not against anyone deer hunting, love shotgun hunting deer, but yes, asking people might be the way to go because Iowa is a big deer hunting business now. Yes, it truly is. And
Businesses
yeah, I'm with
booming.
you. I'm going to be looking for permission pieces and stuff for pheasant hunting. I
Mhm.
obviously love it too. And I have Instagram up now too. For some reason, and throw the comments over here. So Blackwell says the property that I still hunt used to be 12 acres. Now it's 4.8, and it's not only tiny, but the neighbors have the deer. So I unfortunately have to find other properties. That yeah, that unfortunately kind of happens, but you
You
can
can find when
sometimes
they use that.
leverage. Yeah, you can sometimes leverage and figure out how the deer are using your property, whether it's transportation to the neighbor's food plot, they cut through your place. If you can find the deer signs, I think you could still surprisingly make that bit of land benefit to you.
Oh,
But
listen, I've had success on small properties like that. It is not is so. I mean, if you think about it, 12 acres isn't that much. I mean, a deer isn't living on 12 acres, not even close. So if the land's on the neighbors, if they're living on the neighbors, that's fine. But they're gonna be using yours. If you have trails cutting through your property that you have permission on or own or whatever it is, they're using your land. You just have to figure out when and how. It could be
Mhm.
on certain winds. It could be on certain weather. It could be certain days. There's a lot of people out there that think deer have a a 3-day cycle, you know. So maybe the buck or deer you're after is using the neighbor's property for those 3 days, and then they cut through your property the next 3 days or whatever that might be. But it just takes some effort. So get the cameras out there, slap them where you think they're coming in, and just find out, because eventually that data is going to pile up, and you're going to
Yep.
be able to figure out when they're going through, and that's when you need to be there. I mean, you don't need. I mean, I've killed deer on 1 acre. It's you can do it. It's just you have to do it on the right time. So
Hmm.
it just takes a little bit more work. But the good part about 4.8 acres is it doesn't take a lot of time to cover it, to check on what's going on. So if you got a couple cameras out there, it'll take you 15 minutes to go grab them, and you figure it out. But it can be done for sure.
And it's the modern age now. I highly encourage every one of you to look into apps like Spartan Forge, Hunt Stand, Onyx. You know, they all have the same general purpose. Take those, use those maps, and if you don't trust those, even use Google Maps. Like,
Mhm.
you can make it happen with any mapping service, but use that and try to look around your little chunk of land and see what noticeable things there are. Is there a thick forest here? Is there a draw here? Is there a pond here? Do they have ag fields here? Use that, and you can kind of judge, like, okay, it looks like a good bedding source is to the east of my property, but it looks like there's a pond and a cornfield to the west. Oh, I do have a trail cutting through here. Okay, so
What's the
let's,
prevailing wind and all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. Just it you just put it's just a puzzle. Every piece of property is a puzzle. And I heard this recently, and I'll be honest, I forget who said it, but out of all the trees we pick all year long, you know, we think the one that we killed the deer out of is the right tree. But they walked by tens of thousands of trees, you know,
Yeah,
all year, maybe even the past week. You don't know.
there may
So
be 15 right trees that day.
yeah, it would. There might be 1,500 right
Yeah,
trees a day.
right,
Depends on how
right.
fast they're moving and what's going on. So it's just anything can happen. And I mean, if you think about it, where you kill a deer, hopefully, is 40 yards. You know, it happens to be right there, and it only goes so far, hopefully, before it
Mhm.
expires. That's all you need. It's all the space you technically need. So it just kind of goes right back to thinking outside the box, because it's just you have to, like you said, nowadays with a lot of leasing, a lot of anti-hunting pressure, a lot of kind of infighting in the hunting community, and how that's going. It's just think outside the box and just have confidence that you can pull these things off if you put the time in.
Correct. Another question: do y'all pig hunt? I do not. I live in Iowa. We don't have pigs here yet. Fingers crossed they don't make their way here.
Yep.
But it is something that I am going to do at some point. I'll make a trip down south and pig hunt.
Yeah, I have not. I'm not like a pervasive pig hunter. Not
Hmm.
that I don't want to. You know, I have a lot of friends and family that have gone pig hunting, that get on to Texas and have a awesome time down there, taking care of that. I've had some friends go over to Tennessee and have a great time in that state doing some hog hunting. I don't think it's going to be too much longer before all of us are going to have to do hog hunting, unfortunately. Um, but the good thing is I like bacon, so we just let it roll. You know.
That's right. Yeah, they. I've heard they've started creeping farther and farther north, and I'm just like, yeah.
They adapt really
Meanwhile,
well, so it's a problem.
yeah, and then meanwhile to the north, they've been reintroducing wolves and stuff. So it's like you both just stay in
Stay.
your lane,
Well, I mean, in theory, they could help us out a little bit, where the wolves are occupying the pigs, the pigs are
push the
occupying the
yeah.
wolves. I'm okay
That's
with
fair.
that.
That's fair. They've done a number on the deer population up there, though.
They absolutely have. Well, I mean, it's just you think about not having to deal with a threat until
Yeah.
recently. It's just you just don't know how it's going to impact a species. You know, you see what happened over in Yellowstone, and granted, it's gotten improved, but
Hmm.
um, I think people underestimate how capable these animals are, especially these prey animals, and just
Hmm.
yeah, obviously the animals that we go after are incredibly smart and they're really good at surviving. They
Hmm.
are, but you know, when you have a group that is just absolutely evolved to be the top level killer that it can be, and you're just like, okay, here you go, and it's just a bunch of lambs out there in front of them. I mean,
Hmm.
what do you expect to happen? You know?
Right. Another question. I'm planning on doing a whitetail hunt in Ohio. Are there any tips? Yeah, certainly. It kind of like deer may have different patterns and like different terrain, but the fundamentals are the same. They need bedding, they need food, they need water. So let's start by locating that stuff.
Mhm.
Go in there, and especially if you can make a trip before your hunting season, it's preferred. But right now, you should be using these scouting apps or Google Maps, and you should be looking, public lands, or if you're getting a lease, however you're doing it, you know that info. I don't. But be looking and scouting from the maps. Like the tools are endlessly available in your hands.
Yeah,
So scout, e-scout, get there on foot if you can. Look for deer signs, find rubs, scrapes, trails, get cameras up, etc. It's the same fundamentals wherever you go, in my
yeah.
opinion.
It depends on the season you're going. If you're going around the rut, just understand that you're going to have human pressure. So figure
Hmm.
out if there's human pressure at this specific spot in this property, how am I going to work around that? Think about creative access to properties because this is a good thing when you're out of state. Not a ton of landowners love giving access to out of staters. It depends on the area, depends on the person. But if you're saying, "Hey, I'm coming in to hunt this property, but I need to get through here to get to the back. Can I just walk through?" That might be a fun way where you have success that others might not be able to get because they didn't take the time to ask permission simply to walk through a chunk of someone else's land to get to a certain part of whether it's public or
Hmm.
land or whatever it is. So just be creative and don't be afraid to act because you're out of state. You're only going to be there for so long, so you have to act. But like we said now is like take the time, e-scout, get a couple different plans together, try to create different scenarios, and then when it actually happens in real life, then you'll have at least something mentally prepared for, okay, I thought about this, I'm going to do XYZ.
Hmm.
But yeah, the fundamentals are all the same: wind, water, food, bedding, access, all that's really the same. The only thing that I would say, especially um, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, like that, if it's earlier in the season, to me, water's not a big factor. It's so lush. There's so much water in the forage that they have that they don't need to get it anywhere else unless it's extremely hot. So if you're in there like end of September through October, I don't even really think about water for them, in my opinion. I just think about how they're getting through a property to eat or to go to bed.
Yeah, and on the whole asking permission thing, like as an analogy, say you're trying to pick up a chick, right? So there's a million other guys trying to do the same thing, right? They're saying, hey, 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 you want to differentiate yourself, right? Like, don't do the same thing everyone else is doing.
Mhm.
Like I said earlier, ask how you can help them. Ask if you can start with a baby step. Ask if you can shed hunt their field, because I don't know if a lot of you know, sheds destroy tons of money in tractor tires every year,
Mhm.
right? So start small. Ask if you can do that. Ask if they have any projects they need help with fencing. Go outside of the box. Don't just
Yeah,
be like, hey, can I hunt your land? No? Okay, screw you. See ya. Just be like, you know, give them some sort of benefit. They're letting you walk on their expensive property, sometimes their livelihood. Like,
yeah, and I think it's just a good way to get your foot in the door. A lot of people are hesitant to give permission simply because they've had a bad experience before. So if your first permission, like you said, is shed hunting or turkey hunting or predator hunting, coyote hunting, things like that, and you treat them and their property well, they're more apt to say, yeah, you know what, you can come out here and try to kill this big buck that I've got around that I don't got time to kill because I'm
mm-hmm.
doing this or that or whatever. Or they might not even be interested in hunting. It's just, getting your foot in the door and proving that you're a trustworthy person to be on their property,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they have a family, that's a pretty important thing too,
Mm-hmm.
because they have to make sure that everyone's safe with you being there.
Yes.
So if you can prove to them that you're a kind, honest, and just a genuine person that wants to go out there and enjoy the outdoors, well, hell, they might even be like, you know what, I saw this nice big buck over there. I'm not
Yeah.
going after him. You know the property. We're okay with you hunting this deer this year. And then if you do well for that, then there you go. Now you have a property you can use, and that goes for out of state too. So even when I'm talking about a permission property, just a walkthrough, if you come back to that property the next year and they recognize you and they recognize that you were nice to them and you did exactly what you said you were going to do and nothing more, well, they might give you a little bit more. They might say, you know what, um, I don't really hunt this back 5, 10 acres, whatever it is. You
Mm-hmm.
guys are welcome to look back there. If there's something you like, you can hunt it. Like that kind of stuff happens. You
Or
just need to be willing to ask.
it also can turn into, oh, I'm good buddies with my neighbor too. He'll let you hunt. Like, I'll put in a good
Exactly.
word for you.
Exactly.
And when you do get permission to do any of those things and you're out there, you see trash, do small things like pick it up.
Mhm.
Leave every piece of land, and do this on public too. Leave every piece of land cleaner than what it was when you got there.
I always
Like,
take a little bag, especially for public land. Unfortunately, that I always take a little, grocery store bag
hmm
to throw whatever junk in because it
hmm
is amazing to me the things that I have found
yeah.
in the middle. I have found like giant boom boxes, like way farther back than I would assume. I
hmm
found old school cell phones. I found a little dog kid toy that I cleaned up and
hmm
took back to my kids. I thought it was hilarious, but it's just like random stuff. I
Yeah.
don't. Why would you carry this out there? And first of all, why would you ever
Don't be
leave
a
it?
piece of crap. Like,
Yeah, it's. I just don't. I don't understand it. So, yeah, I'm always prepared with some sort of baggie or
hmm
something because it's just. It's the worst, and that's specifically as a reason why I think a lot of hunters
hmm
lose permission on properties that are private. Because if you go to their tree stand, there's some of these people. I mean,
little
there's
Debbie's
Gator
wrappers, and
wrappers and Gatorade bottles and all kind of stuff just laying under the tree stand. It's just like,
or they leave ruts in the farmer's access road, or
oh
like,
yeah. I mean, that's another thing too. Ask how you can use the property.
hmm
So just don't just ask, can
to
I
use
use it?
it. Yeah.
Ask, where do I park? Should I turn my lights off when I pull in?
hmm
What happens when I get a deer? Do you want me to call you? Can I drive back here? All these things,
hmm
um, is making them understand that you care about their
hmm
land, like they care about their land,
Right.
and they're more apt to let you hunt it. And that goes for any species you want to hunt. I don't care what it
hmm
is.
Follow-up question on the Ohio hunt. I want to lease, and I'm wondering what are the most important factors to consider. I mean, you know your budget, figure that out.
Mhm.
That's automatically going to be a barrier for you. And then, I mean, you want to kind of see what's in your budget, and then what looks the most like intriguing, I guess, for you.
Yeah, it depends on the kind of hunting that you do. If you're going to do situations where you like presets, if you like having food plots, then obviously you need to lease a property that those things are capable. If you just like diversity, and you want to be able to hunt different terrains or different styles, then for property that it's really just it's all personal. It's just like you choosing your bow or your equipment. If you're going to pay the money to lease a property, just find a property that you happen to find interesting. Not every property obviously is going to hold, a Boone and Crockett buck on it, but um, so that's obviously a thing. It depends on what your goals are. Are you going over there because you want to shoot 180 plus, or are you going over there because you just want to have fun hunting Ohio with a
hmm
chance of shooting anything from one 130 to 200 and plus? You don't know, but it's all just finding the parameters. So budget, obviously, like you said, is super important, but it's
hmm
just what you want to achieve. And then obviously, if you're going in on a lease with a bunch of people, then you need to make a consensus on that because you don't
Yeah,
want anyone to
a
be
general
disgruntled about
agreement.
it. Exactly.
Yep. So, going back to Trophyline,
Mhm.
I have a product that I want to see. And
Okay.
I know competitors have this, but I feel like you guys are very, saddle minded. I want to see a camera arm that's actually developed to work well with a saddle. I bought a camera arm that's new from one of the other competitors. I
Okay.
won't drop names or anything,
It doesn't hurt
but
my feelings, man.
it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I think it would be amazing for a tree stand. So it, buckles down to the tree and then has a solid arm and then it's flexible and rotates around. But being a saddle hunter, I'm sure you already thought you have a fixed part, sticking out from the tree that already limits. Like,
Hmm.
and I know there's options out there, but given kind of the quality you guys do and you being saddle minded again, I think it would be cool for you guys to look into something like that.
Well, I appreciate the thought. I'll never say never. I will say we're not working on one currently. Like you said, there's quite a lot of really good options out
Yeah,
there.
there are.
So I think when we're coming up with a product that we want to attack,
Hmm.
it's a lot of it is it's not just what might sell well or
Hmm.
what other people are doing. It's kind of what we want to
Hmm.
hunt with, and I don't mean that in a boastful way. It's really
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, hey, what would I want to do with this piece? What I want to do with this piece? Or sometimes it is seeing, okay, here's this item or type of item that's out in the market. How can we put our flavor on it and improve on it and put our ethos into it? Um, I'll be honest, yeah, right now the camera arms are not on our
Yeah, it's kind of
radar,
away from your radar, but
but I
food
would
for thought. Keep that in there.
never say because I always like tinkering with things. So never
Yeah.
say.
I just think with arguably the best self filming bag, some more self filming tools would be cool.
It's a good point. It is a good point. I'll
Um,
put it down in the notes and I'll bring it up.
yeah, definitely. And if that happens down the road, you need a proto tester. I'm good at breaking things, so hit
Oh,
me up.
hey, I am too. I'm very good at breaking things. That's one of the things that made it so fun doing this. Is just being able to design things,
Right,
lean on them, and go, okay, let's make it so I can't do that again, and then just over and over and over again.
right.
And really, it's tough because the hard part with designing a product, especially like a camera arm, is obviously you want it
Hmm.
to be light, but it needs to be affordable. Some things are
Yes.
just really really expensive. But
Yes, some of
unfortunately,
them out there are pricey.
yeah, and I'll be honest, that's okay, but
Hmm.
um, it's just it's tough to hit all the right marks. You're never going to make anybody
Yes.
happy. That's with any product. We know that
Hmm.
going into it, and that's something that isn't always easy for me, but I try to make
Hmm.
it as easy on myself as the people maybe don't like something that we've designed or done, and
Right.
that's okay. Um, but it's everyone has a different mindset. That's why we try to like spread the
Hmm.
wealth basically on like, okay, we have this style backpack, this one, that one,
Hmm.
this style saddle, a whole bunch of different things because everybody does everything differently, and we don't want to make those choices for people. We just want to give them options.
Right.
Um, yeah, it is tough to find the right arm because some folks might want um, larger sections for different movements.
Hmm.
Folks want tiny sections. It's all chaos.
Agreed.
So, but yeah, uh, it's not out of the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking on that lately, and I'm like, it'd be cool if they came out with something. Um,
I appreciate it.
with that note, though, any cool products that you guys have coming out that you want to talk about?
Well, I think the stuff that's getting the most attention this year is our Hyperlight series,
Hmm.
which is, but it was a fun project for us, a long project, and we worked on that for many, many years, and really happy to finally kind of bring that to market.
Hmm.
Um, that was kind of one of those things that, we saw the trend towards a lightweight stick, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, sometimes things go a little bit too far. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
anyone has, but we wanted to offer something that was where we thought it should be as far as weight
Hmm.
and strength and just all the factors that people find important. Um, so it's not the lightest on the market.
Hmm.
It's pretty darn light. It's actually shocking when you hold it because it you
Hmm.
look at it and you see it and you go, oh, this is a metal product, and then when you pick it
Right.
up, it doesn't make sense with how light it is because
Hmm.
the material it's made out. Now it is still metal, but it's just like it's just the way that it functions is just not something that feels like anything you've held
Right.
before, which is super fun for me. Being able to make a platform and sticks out of that and have a whole system that is under 7 pounds is just so fun for me. Being able to hunt off that and just enjoy it. Just
Mm-hmm.
prior to being having things come out, it's just been a lot of fun because, um, man, it's just I remember the days of designing a platform that was 7 pounds by itself,
Mm-hmm.
or one full length climbing stick was XYZ pounds. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like the way that it's rapidly changed in the past, I would say even 3 years, but a decade as well,
Mm-hmm.
is just dramatic. So um, they were just really fun products to design because we
Mm-hmm.
want to just put our thoughts into it. Like when you're standing on a lightweight thing item or stick, I don't want people to be able to feel like they're standing on a lightweight stick. I want them to
Right.
feel like they are standing on something as rigid as they possibly could be. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a super fun project. We also have our new Spectre, our First Light Spectre Venatic saddle, which
Mm-hmm.
is a ton of fun. That's actually the one I killed that buck out of over my shoulder here uh, on opening day, and it's crazy comfortable. The 4-way stretch is a new material that First Sight's coming out with that they're going to have in some of their other pants. I think they just sent out some information about those pants just the other day, actually. But
Mm-hmm.
very very excited about that, and we've had that material for a while, and so those are just fun ones, and just getting to do some of those things and kind of push the limits along with some of our competitors, and that's been a fun part too. Is like
Mm-hmm.
is being able to kind of push each other into
Yes.
making better products,
Yep.
cooler products every year, year after year. That's been a ton of fun because, like I said, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there was one or zero or
Mm-hmm.
no options for certain things, and now
Mm-hmm.
there is just like
A
almost
bunch.
almost unfathomable how many there are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a ton of fun. So we got a couple other new products that I can't talk about that I'm even
Mm-hmm.
more excited about, which is super cool. So just being able to push these limits year after year has been just a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Working here. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'd absolutely see that. A lot of people get their brand loyalty to one or the other, and then they're like, just automatically cast out the other one. But it's so healthy for the consumer as well having the competition because, as you
mhm.
said, you guys push each other back and forth and kind of push the bar and continue developing instead of, oh, we're the only one with this saddle, so hey, staying the same.
Yeah, it's no one's the same either. And this is something we
No.
say. I think pretty much all of our competitors, we probably say similar things when we're at a trade show or when somebody's trying it.
Hmm.
Get out there and try everyone else's
Yeah.
stuff.
Figure
Just like
what
when
fits
you're going,
you.
exactly, just like when you're going to try a new bow at a bow
Hmm.
shop, they're saying shoot them all, make sure which one makes the most sense for you, and go from there. It's the same thing for saddles. It's the same thing for platforms or sticks or backpacks and all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I'm happy when we have competition that is just push the limits because then we do
Hmm.
it, and then now our customers have the options. I'm totally okay with somebody owning one of our items. Like that's fine. Like I
Hmm.
have no issues with it. And it's been just fun to we have like good natured ribbing, within the industry, and be like,
Right.
oh, you guys did this or you did that, or
Hmm.
all those fun things. So everyone's it's all really good people trying to
Hmm.
make really cool stuff to kill really elusive animals. We're all doing the same thing, and I try to take it seriously on the safety side, but not
Yeah.
so seriously on the kind of let's say hater side, like you mentioned earlier on
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook, because it's like at the end of the day, we're just all trying to have fun,
I'm gonna
go in
say,
the woods and kill some deer.
yeah. That's one thing people are quick to, like I said, brand loyalty, bark at the other
Mhm.
ones, but they don't realize the industry talks. Like, I'm sure you guys have friends in other, like, everyone
Oh,
talks.
absolutely. If
Like,
someone makes a really cool thing or they has success in something, I'm texting them saying, "Hey, man, congrats, good job on this product," or "Congrats on the launch of this or that or whatever," or all multitudes of things. So it's
mhm,
not. I think sometimes people think the industry is much much bigger than it actually is.
mhm,
But it's a really fun group of guys to be in across
mhm,
the whole gambit of it. Um, if somebody kills a nice big buck, I'll text them and be like, "Oh man, that's a great buck. You'd have been more comfortable on our stuff, but
Right. Just a
good
little,
job. All
just
that
giving each
fun
other
stuff.
crap. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. We've had conversations of jokes of like, oh, we should do a hunt where I'm wearing your thing or you're wearing my
Hmm.
thing, all kinds of fun things like that. So, yeah, it's I I appreciate when people are loyal to a brand. I appreciate when people
Hmm.
respect the things that we've done and want to continue supporting it.
Hmm.
I genuinely do. But again, I have no issue with people having hodgepodge systems because
Right.
that's the world we live in. That's what's great about America is you got choices and you can do those
Yep.
things.
Which brings the next comment. I'm interested in saddle hunting. I'm wondering, are there any brands to avoid? And I'm going to say, I'm not going down that route of bashing any sort of brand. What I challenge you to do is do your own research, look at reviews, come up with your general consensus.
Hmm.
Cheapest isn't always best. Remember that. Um, do your research.
But I will say too, most expensive always isn't always best.
Yes,
Again,
correct.
like we said too, it's about your body.
Hmm.
We have a multitude of different saddles designed because people are shaped differently.
Hmm.
Some people like a really tall saddle to comfort them from their lower back down below their thighs. Some people want it really small because they just want a really minimalist system, and maybe they don't have anything to cup. I personally, I got nothing to cup, so I don't need a bigger saddle back there. It just is what it is. But we're all different sizes, and the cool part is like even just with our crew, I could go out on a hunt with Weston and Robert, and we could have the exact same gear, and none
Hmm.
of it's set up the same because everyone has
Exactly.
different preferences. So um, it's not necessarily what brand to avoid, but I would say go if you
Try it
can
on.
try
Yeah.
them on. Go to a local shop. Our website, we have a dealer locator, so you could go in and find a dealer that carries our equipment and try it on. The dealers that we have are all really great people. They know what they're
Hmm.
talking about. So go in there, try on our different saddles, try our
Hmm.
backpacks or sticks or platforms, whatever it is, just give it a shot. Or if you're lucky enough to be in an area where there is a trade show going on where people are attending, go there, try them on. We're happy to talk to you guys. I'll give you all the time you need. Ask as many questions, like I said
Hmm.
earlier, just as much as asking questions for a new hunter is important. Asking questions on a new hunting style
Hmm.
is just as important. So ask all those questions you have. Don't be embarrassed about it. We love talking about it. Um, and that's really it. So yeah, there's no real one brand I would say to avoid. Obviously, I would love if you like our products and want to buy them,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to shy you away from anyone because that's just not what saddle hunting is about.
Hmm. Yeah, and also another option that might work for you is if you have local hunting groups like Facebook groups or whatever platform,
Absolutely.
you can probably be like, "Hey guys, I have an interest of saddle hunting. Does anyone have one that I can meet up and try out?" And oftentimes hunters want to help out other hunters, and you might find someone to let you try on, their 500 or whatever amount of money dollar
Yep.
kit without you having to buy it.
Absolutely. And the very interesting part about saddle hunting is it's not just gear, it's like collectibles to a lot
Hmm.
of people. I mean, I don't even really want to tell you how many saddles I have in my basement right now, because it's just, especially from doing it so long, some guys just have different saddles for different
Hmm.
types of season, different saddles for different reasons,
Hmm.
and that's fine too. So, like you said, ask on your local forums or groups and be like, hey, does anybody have a saddle? Somebody might reply and go, hey, I have 10. You
Hmm.
can try all 10 and then you're good. And so just again, get out there, ask the questions, and just try as many as you
Hmm.
possibly can before you make your decision. And usually, as far as I understand it, as far as it's been for me, you'll be able to tell which saddle is right for you, just like you can for a bow or clothing, whatever it is. You can tell what's right for you when you have it
Hmm.
on.
Hmm. Yeah. And if you do end up like edging into the used market trying to save money, please look over and investigate all of the ropes and everything. I don't want to see
Yes,
anyone getting hurt.
that's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up because safety is huge for me. We're setting new standards with ASTM and TMA on
Hmm.
saddle specifics, rope specific things like that. Yes, absolutely. Check for fraying. Make sure the
Hmm.
jacket is in good condition. Make sure it doesn't look like it's been exposed to the sun for too long. If you have any concerns whatsoever, ditch the ropes,
Hmm.
ditch the saddle. Unfortunately, if you have concerns, it's not worth
It's holding you up in a tree, how many
Absolutely.
more feet up, like.
And this is something you need to check no matter how long you've been hunting, no matter how nice equipment you bought, no matter,
Mhm,
how long you've been doing it. Every year, you need to regularly check your equipment.
mhm,
You should be checking it every hunt or
mhm,
every couple hunts, whatever it is. Check your equipment as often as you can to make sure the stopper knots are right, all those things. Yes,
mhm,
if you're getting into a used product, just one, hopefully you have a trustworthy seller. Make sure that's
mhm.
there. And
Yes.
two, inspect the equipment. And if you have any concerns, take a photo of it, send that photo to the manufacturer and be like, hey, this happened. You know, what do I do about it?
Mhm,
And a lot of us here too, especially if you buy something used, and if there's a concern, if there's a serious safety concern, and you're like, hey, I'm strapped, like I don't know what I'm going to do here, we can typically work with you on something to even get something new that is safe for you. Because the last thing I want is you using one of our products and getting hurt. No matter if you bought
mhm.
it from us directly or not. I want everybody to be able to come home, whether they're successful or not. I still want people coming home safe to their families, to their dogs, to wherever you're coming home
Mhm.
to. I want you to come home safe, no matter what's going
What is your, like, go-to whitetail loadout, your setup?
on. Jeez. Okay. For me, I'm gonna do obviously my bow. Um, I'm more of a bow hunter than I am as far as weapons go. Um, but for me, for our gear, I'm using our currently the Hyperlight platform and 4 sticks. So I'll use 4 sticks, typically with 2 aiders in the bottom, and I leave those on at all times. And then I have 2 aiders in my backpack just in case I need them, depending on the type of terrain, situation, whatever it is. I try to limit as much gear as I take in the woods because if I don't limit myself, I'm going to take too much stuff because I kind of a worry wart on that.
Mhm,
So I use our plateau pack because it lets me limit that, but also because I don't have to take it off my back when I get to the woods. Um, so really, any fanny style pack that you can carry all your gear is crucial for me. And again, we talked about earlier. I get sweaty fast, so kind of a lightweight backpack is important for me specifically.
mhm,
Um, so that's really it. So keeping a lightweight small backpack, lightweight small gear, and just going with my bow. That's my loadout. Really, nothing crazy. Water. Um, I rarely bring a call. I'll be honest with you. I'm not the best caller in the world, and places I've hunted, I haven't really had that much success. So I just
mhm,
don't. Um, let's see here. Kill kit. Obviously, the extra battery pack. Make sure you can contact the family if something goes wrong. If I'm self filming, I have my camera arm. I do always take a little GoPro now, though, which is fun. So I
mhm,
have that on me most of the time. I'll tell you what, that little item has saved me for filming more than anything
mhm.
else. It's getting that shot if I missed it with my main
Right.
camera. Um, but yeah, that's really it. Binos, of course. If I don't take my binos, I feel naked. So
Yeah.
I have to have my binos with some milkweed in it. I
Mhm,
used to do the powder, but I'd always get it all over myself. And whenever I first learned about milkweed being a great option, I luckily had a ton
mhm.
around me. So I've been using that ever since. And that's been pretty incredible for me to be doing. I apologize if you're a monster trying to break in here. The kids are getting anxious, but but no, that's my setup. Is try to keep it pretty simple. The essentials: water, kill kit, binos, bow, lightweight equipment. That's it.
There we go. Let's see. And over on Instagram right now, where a lot of this was going on, we had a kind individual ask where he was located and was going to offer him to test out some of his gear. So, right there, case in point, there's a
Yeah,
lot of good
exactly,
hunters out there.
exactly. It just ask the questions, and people will be able to help you or willing to help you. So that's
Mhm.
incredible. Kudos to that person.
And James said, for all hunters, is Nick and Trophyline going to be at the Iowa Deer Classic?
Unfortunately, we won't be at the Iowa Deer Classic, and I do apologize about that one. But we are at a couple of the Mobile Hunter Expo shows this year, which is a really great option. They have a few across the country, um, and we'll be at a sparse dealers throughout the year, and we're going to do
Hmm.
our best to make sure that everybody knows when we are going to be where, and we're trying to spread that out with both ourselves and our ambassadors to get to these places to show people how to saddle hunt, help them learn. So if you want any more information from us specifically on where we may or may not be, just reach out to us at info@trophyline.com or follow along on our newsletter. And we're typically going to be putting out information about where we're going to be at any given time so people can come learn.
If you guys come up to Des Moines, the general area, we have our pro shop, Archery Field and Sports. They carry Trophyline stuff, so you can come in, try on stuff. I'm there all the time,
Yeah.
so that's an
And
option if you're in the area.
absolutely. Again, like I said before, check for our dealers on our dealer locator. All those guys in the shops know what they're doing, and they'll be able to give you the best information they can.
Should I hunt near oaks during the October lull, or should I hunt trails leading into oaks? You should scout the deer, see what they're doing, and then build your game plan from that, in my opinion.
Yep. That's oak trees are great and they're a lot of fun, but they can
Yeah.
also be a distraction. So it's
Yeah.
just about gathering the
There's
data.
there's no one size fits all. You need to
Absolutely.
get boots on the ground and scout and figure out what's going on in your area, because it could be completely different than what's going on in my area.
Absolutely.
And on the deer or the Iowa Deer Classic comment, if any of you guys are attending, I will be around the show. Feel free to stop me, say hello. I'll be doing both 3D and the 300 paper archery tournaments. So I will be around all weekend. So yeah, I mean, on that note, I think we've had a great session. It was awesome getting to
Agreed.
finally talk to you. And I will say, as much as it sucks you guys won't be at the Classic, it's probably better for my wallet.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I'll see if I can entice you with some other items. Maybe I'll make a camera arm by the time we talk again.
Yeah, true. I already gave you my weakness, huh?
You did. So I think I kind of have to now. At least make one for you.
Yeah, right. Make one. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll be ending this live momentarily, and then this will go into podcast land. So Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your podcasts shortly. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a great one, everyone.